to the signing of the Declaration of Independence on July 4th, 1776, John Hancock stated, "We must be unanimous." He had to have been referring to Malden when he said that, because that is just what happened here. Of all the towns in Massachusetts who eventually sent instructions to their representatives, none produced a resolution of equal persuasion and forcefulness to the one adopted by a unanimous vote at the Malden Town Meeting of May 27, 1776. The document was presented to the Continental Congress in Philadelphia and became famous in the records of American Revolutionary literature. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Malden's 4th annual reading of the town instructions. And now what I would ask all of you to do is please take a moment to join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, which will be followed by our national anthem. Please face the flag. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Second. 1, 2, 3.
To help us celebrate Malden's place in history is Dan Moylan and his fife and drum corps, who came to us by way of a Malden-based business, Murray Hill Talent. They will play a few songs, with each song being preceded by Dan explaining its history. Then Tom Coots, our go-to person when it comes to anything Revolutionary War, and who also serves as the president of the Charlestown Historical Society, treasurer of the Bunker Hill Monument Association, president and founder of the Charlestown Militia Company, and chairman of the historical unit of the Bunker Hill Parade Committee, will read the town instructions adopted unanimously on May 27, 1776. Dan will then lead us out with a closing song.
The songs we marched into are probably the best known tune of the American Revolution. It was called Yankee Doodle. Yankee Doodle, there was a story that goes with it. During colonial times, every town had a militia, and every militia company had a fife and a drum. And during the French and Indian War, the story goes that a British surgeon in the British Army went to ridicule the American rubes, and he took a British nursery rhyme, Lucy Locket lost her pocket, Kitty Fisher found it, and turned it into Yankee Doodle to ridicule the Americans. The irony is that some 30-odd years later, the Americans played it at Yorktown, and the British were forced to play The World Turned Upside Down. However, fife and drum was common. It was brought here by the British, And of course, the colonials were British before they declared their independence. And the music they played was largely from the British Isles. And one of the tunes that was popular during the Revolution was called Seven Stars. The Seven Stars being, I think of as the Pleiades, the Seven Sisters. They also could be the Seven Stars with the Big Dipper or the Little Dipper, and people really don't know. But we'll give it to you now. Another song that was common was called The Road to Boston. That was supposedly taken from a British tune called The Road to London. The Americans rewrote it as General Green's March, but it's also known as, and known more commonly as The Road to Boston. Another tune that's very popular with fife and drum corps to this day was it's called Brandywine, and the tune was written in consideration of the Battle of Brandywine, which was one of several battles lost by the Americans, leading up to the capture of the colonial capital of Philadelphia. We lost at Brandywine Creek, we lost at Paoli, and we lost at Germantown. Brandywine was the longest battle, continuous battle of the American Revolution that lasted 11 hours. And had more participants than any other battle of the Revolution. We'll give it to you now.
Now the moment you've all been waiting for, a reading of the town instructions adopted unanimously May 27, 1776.
It is important to note that this document that I hold in my hand was voted upon at a legal meeting by the inhabitants of the town of Malden on May 27, 1776. These are the town instructions that we Maldonians have written to our representative, Mr. Ezra Sargent, who represents us in Congress. Sir, a resolution of the most honorable House of Representatives, calling upon several towns in this colony to express in their minds with respect to the important question of American independence, is the occasion of our now instructing you. The time was, sir, when we loved our King and the people of Great Britain with an affection truly filial. We felt ourselves interested in their glory. We shared in their joys and sorrows. We cheerfully poured the fruit of our labors into the lap of our mother country. And without reluctance, we expended our blood and our treasure in their cause. These were the sentiments toward Great Britain while she continued to act the part of a parent state. We felt ourselves happy in our connection with her, nor wished for it to be dissolved. But our sentiments are now altered. It is now the ardent wish of our souls that America may become free and independent states. A sense of unprovoked injuries will arouse resentment of the most peaceful. Such injuries these colonies have received from Britain. Unjustifiable claims have been made by the king and his minions to tax us without our consent. These claims have proved in a manner most cruel and unjust to the highest degree. The frantic policy of administration hath induced them to send fleets of armies to America, so that depriving us of our trade and cutting the throats of our brethren, they might awe us into submission and erect a system of despotism in America, which should so far enlarge the influence of the crown as to enable it to rivet shackles upon the people of Great Britain. This plan was brought to a crisis upon the ever-memorable 19th of April. We remember that fatal day. The expiring groans of our murdered countrymen yet vibrate in our ears, and we now behold the flames of their peaceful dwellings ascending to heaven. We hear their blood crying to us from the ground for vengeance, and charging us, as we value the peace of their names, to have no further connection with a king who can unfeelingly hear the slaughter of his subjects and composedly sleep with their blood upon his soul. The manner in which this war has been prosecuted has confirmed in us these sentiments: piracy and murder, robbery and breach of faith have conspicuously been the conduct of the king's troops. Defenseless towns have been attacked and destroyed. The ruins of Charlestown, which are daily in our view, daily remind us of this. The cries of the widow and the orphan demand our attention. They demand that the hand of pity should wipe the tears from their eyes, and that the sword of their country should avenge their wrongs. We long entertain hopes that the spirit of the British nation would once more induce them to assert their own and our rights, and bring to condign punishment the elevated villains who have trampled upon the sacred rights of men and have affronted the majesty of the people. We have hoped in vain. They have lost their spirit of just resentment. We therefore renounce with disdain our connection with the kingdom of slaves, and we bid fair adieu to Britain. Could an accommodation now be effected? We have reason to think that it would be fatal to the liberties of America. We should soon catch the contagion of venality and dissipation, which has subjected Britons to lawless domination. Were we placed in the situation we were in 1773, where the powers of appointing to offices and commanding of the militia were in the hands of the governors, our arts, trades, and manufacturers would be cramped. Nay, more than this, the life of every man who has been active in the cause of this country would be endangered. For these reasons, as well as many others which might be produced, we are confirmed in the opinion that this present age would be deficient in their duty to God, their posterity, and themselves, if they do not establish an American republic. This is the only form of government which we wish to see established. For we can never willingly be subject to any other king other than he who, being possessed of infinite wisdom, goodness, and rectitude, is alone fit to possess unlimited power. We have freely spoken these sentiments upon this important subject, but we mean not to dictate. We have unbounded confidence in the wisdom and uprightness of the Continental Congress. With pleasure, we recollect this affair under their direction, and we now instruct you, sir, to give to them the strongest assurance that, if they should declare America to be a free and independent republic, your constituents will support and defend this measure to the last drop of their blood and the last farthing of their treasure. Witness my hand, Samuel Merrick, Malden Town Clerk. Sir, take this document to Congress. Let them know that the people of Malden